Hey, deserved listeners, 90-Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, since this is a psychology YouTube channel, this content may contain triggering material, so watch with care. Let's watch.
And so I'm sorry, but things are different here. I'm not Muslim, and he does not live in a Muslim country anymore. My life is super busy, and I have a lot of responsibilities. And last night I had a little time with my friend. My friends are just worried about.
So I'm glad that she's advocating for herself, but I'm concerned that of the method at which she's doing this. She's trying to make a case that it's okay for her to spend an evening with her friend having dinner and a couple drinks, instead of saying, look, we have to establish some ground rules here. The foundation of what we're talking about is, do you have the right to tell me what to do and what's reasonable in our relationship? Because that's a fundamental conversation that they have to have, that I think the two of them think they've had that conversation, but they have not, because they clearly don't think. They're on completely different planets when it comes to what they are hoping for. He's made his wishes, I think, very clear and very direct. She has not, or she doesn't know what she wants. That's been another. A lot of dependent, passive-aggressive people will literally not know who they are and what they want. And so when you ask them, you need to assert yourself to your partner, they're like, well, I don't even know what to assert, because I just get a feeling sometimes like I don't like it, but I don't know, maybe I do. Maybe I'm okay with it. And so there's that. So what she's doing right now, let's rewind it, because I think it's important for y'all out there, if you're going to be assertive, to understand that for some people, they think they're being assertive, but they're actually asking a question. They're just like, well, I just feel like sometimes I want that option, or I was kind of going through a rough time. And so the message is, if I'm going through a rough time, then I get to hang out with my friends, instead of I am the controller of my body, and I get to do what I want with my body and my mind and my soul and my spirit. You are not in control of that. So that's the establishment. That's more direct. That's more a conversation that they need to have, instead of having stipulations that justify the fact that you can make decisions about your own body. So let's rewind that.
My life is super busy, and I have a lot of responsibilities. And last night I had a little time with my friend. My friends are just worried about me.
Every time your friends telling you, we are worried about you, that makes no sense to me.
Right, so he's not helping, of course. It's pretty obvious what is happening right now. It doesn't take a genius to read between the lines, and she wants to say, I don't want your style of relationship, I'm sorry. But he's refusing to see it, or can't see it, or something. And he is now debating what she just said. She said, well, my friends are worried about me because they think our relationship sucks, and they think you suck. And so that's why I had to go out last night. Well, then he can nitpick that. Then he can say, well, the whole foundation of what you're saying is wrong, because why should they worry about me? It's debatable there, or at least he thinks it's debatable. Instead of them having a direct conversation about culture, religion, power, gender, all that kind of stuff. So I'm worried that they'll never have that conversation, or it'll blow up and they'll break up.
I'm trying to understand what they are mean about that.
They don't want me to lose who I am.
Right, so that's a cross-cultural conversation right there, and misunderstanding. So I'm just going to take a guess and say that for him, that doesn't make any sense, this notion of losing who you are. In fact, there are women in his community who might think, well, but who you are is a wife, is someone that takes care of the home. That's who you are. So you're actually running away from who you are and the meaning of your life. And God actually says that, whatever. And so to him to say, he's not going to understand, it's not going to be convincing is the thing. And so there has to be a fundamental conversation about religion and culture and gender and power.
So in Arabic we say ما تحطش السم في العسل. that means don't spill the poison in the honey. So I feel that happening when Eve go out with her friend.
Right. So now there's the triangulation, a real common triangulation we see on the show, which is there's tension between me and my partner, and instead of dealing with it directly, I'm going to triangulate these other people. And you could even say Eve is doing that too. Instead of going directly to him, she is going to her friends and telling her friends what her true feelings are. Because if you're her friend, you hear a lot of concerns and a lot of dire observations about Mohamed, but then in front of Mohamed, it's lessened to 3% of the intensity that she will say to her friends. And so she's dragging her friends in instead of going directly to him. Now, maybe he's a scary individual and she doesn't think it's going to go well, but I don't know. So now now the friends are the enemy to the relationship because the two of them have made them that way instead of actually dealing with each other head on.
Everybody's just not used to dealing with, and I'm trying to navigate like just learning about your religion, but like I don't have any intentions of converting.
Don't connect my religion with who you are, and you're scared because it doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure what he's saying there. I don't know if there's a language barrier, but I wonder if what he's saying is, look, there's a difference between my religion, which is a whole other topic, and what's right and wrong in a marriage. I think that's what he's saying. And of course, that's a religious/cultural thing as well, but he probably doesn't see it that way because he either believes that or it's such a thing in his community that it's obvious you just don't do these things and you do these other things. So it's akin to, to try to put yourself in Muhammad's shoes. I don't know, but it's possible that if you are monogamous and oriented that way and not polyamorous, then to think about, unless you have had contact or education around this sort of thing, to think about having, say you are hanging out with your friend and she's like, yeah, my husband is on a date with another woman tonight. Or maybe to put it specifically to this, you start dating someone and then 3 months in, you're in love, everything's going great. And your partner says to you, yeah. So, let's open up the relationship. I'm going to start dating someone else. And because there was this real hot lady at work and I'm really attracted to her and, I'm going to date her. So in the polyamorous world, that is totally normal, potentially. I mean, it depends. But now, of course, polyamorous people would never drag a monogamous person into a relationship unknowingly, but it's that kind of way. You can imagine if you're a monogamous person, you'd be like, wait, what? You don't do that. You can't have sex with this woman at work. That's cheating. You're being hurtful to me. No, that's terrible. So to you, it's like what you are doing is wrong. What you're doing is against nature. It's just everyone knows that it's wrong. So because we live in a monogamous culture, it's very oriented towards monogamy. I mean, just think about all the messages and rom-coms. There's no, as far as I know, a polyamorous rom-com. I mean, I'm guessing there's an alternative movie somewhere that I've never heard about, but there's a total indoctrination of heteronormity and also monogamity, I suppose. And if you're in that mindset, it's hard to imagine another person just living that lifestyle, or especially if you are in connection with that person. So for him, in what he considers to be the right way regarding gender and marriage, for him to hear that she wants to go out with her friends, it could be that foreign. As foreign if your partner said, I'm going to have sex with someone at work because I feel like it, that kind of thing. And it's easy, because it's easy for me anyway to identify with Eve and look at Mohamed and it's like she just went to dinner with a friend. Like, who cares? Like, let it go. But if you're completely embedded in a set of assumptions and lifestyle and religion that goes, and a tradition that goes back generations, it can be almost impossible to imagine a different lifestyle because there's so many different things associated with what she's asking of him. To us, it's just dinner. But to him, it could mean that she is looking like a slut, that she's looking like someone who doesn't care about marriage, that she is open to dating other people. I've heard, I don't know about Egypt, but I've heard other people will say things like, if a woman goes out without her man in public, she is either single and looking for a man, or she's a sex worker. It's one of the two. So, and of course, you wouldn't want your partner, if that wasn't the case, to be seen that way or acting that way, right? And so he could be coming from that place of just like, no, this is anyway. So I'm troubled by him, and I'm worried that she won't assert herself directly.
Do you feel like you're going to lose who you are with me?
Sometimes I do.
Why?
Because I just feel like your religion is too confining for me. I'm a very free spirit, and I don't want to abbreviate myself for anyone.
Okay, good. That's a lot more direct, because now we're getting not just to, I want to hang out with my friends sometimes when I'm emotionally dealing with something. It's, I don't want your religion or your way. So let's see what he says here.
She doesn't have to convert to my religion, but I expected Eve to respect my culture because she decided to be with me.
Right, okay. So he's differentiating between religion and culture, which is fine. And, okay, so now say that, and then she can say, well, I reject your culture as well. I reject that aspect of your culture as well.
It doesn't make any sense to me because you know who I am since 2 years before I even come here. Now, if I did hide anything from you, let me know, because I was very clear with you.
Yeah, I kind of believe that. At the very least, she should have known, or should have Googled it or something, or should have imagined. I wonder what his ideas about gender and politics and what he expects, because he comes from a different culture. I should talk to them. But he's saying that he was very clear, and I can imagine that being true, because they've already fought about things that she would wear, that kind of stuff. And I suspect that she did not push back sufficiently, or gave a lot of reasons for him to think that she was either open to change or open to adjust, quite a bit. And now that she's faced with actually changing her behavior in person, she is resisting and thinking, well, why is this happening, when it's like, well, you kind of, now that doesn't give him the right to just bulldoze forward. He should now say, like if I was his friend, I'd be like, okay, let's say that she deceived you up until this point, but now you see the reality, or maybe check in with her. What does that mean? Because you don't want to force her to obey something she doesn't want to. So what are you going to do? Is this a deal breaker for you? Because if it is, then maybe you should go home. If it isn't, then you have to adjust. It sounds like, are you willing to adjust?
Who I am. Do you accept that I'm an American woman, that I'm not Islamic, and I'm not Muslim?
Oh my God. You want to achieve that I trying to control you. You want to achieve
No, I want to clarify. I want to clarify.
That's not right. That's happened to you when you hang out with your friends.
Ick. I don't know, but this is the beginning of an abusive relationship. I don't know if this relationship will become abusive, but if you ever see this sort of behavior in your partner or coming out of your own mouth, you should realize it's a massive red flag, because she is saying pretty clearly, I want to be able to hang out with my friends, and you can't say anything about that. It's pretty clear what she's saying. I don't want to be a part of your religion, and she's not hearing the cultural angle to this, but so she could help. But I think he's receiving that, and instead of him wrestling with that reality, he smiles in this condescending way and says, no, this is your friends. They're evil and they're influencing you. And so this isn't you talking, this is your friends. It's a way of really demeaning your partner, right? That she isn't speaking her mind. No, you're just a completely influenced pushover to your friends, and there's something wrong with you because you're letting your friends. It's a very condescending message, and I hope she can withstand it and hold on to herself as she's being told this.
That's very disrespectful and rude for you to say that, because that is not true.
Thank God. So if someone is more susceptible to becoming a victim, then they might not respond that way. They might be like, well, I don't know. I think one of my friends is okay. I mean, she likes you some of the time. There's just pleading happening because the victim was victimized throughout their life. And so it's just a survival mechanism that kicks in that doesn't help the situation. It's not their fault that someone's abusing them, but it is conducive to the development of an abusive relationship at the perpetration of the perpetrator, of course. But yeah, thank God she is standing up for herself, kind of for the first time, really, in a very direct way. So now I would hope that she would say even more direct things like, look, I'm okay with participating in some of your culture and some of your religion, but there are some fundamental things, like what I wear and who I hang out with. That is my power and my prerogative. And you can't really even comment on it. It's not just that you can't control it. I don't want to hear your shit, that kind of talk. And if you can't deal with that, then maybe we should just end it right here.
Mohamed and I, over the last 2 years, never talked about the specifics of what he expects of me because his culture, religion.
No, that's not right. She went to the same society I was living in 4 times, and that's who I am.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So he's claiming that because she went to Egypt and agreed to marry him or be with him, that was implicit consent and agreement that they will always live that way. I mean, that's a ridiculous assumption. If you're going to the States, wow, why would you think that? That's, if you were staying in Egypt, maybe you could assume that, but anyway, that's maybe his age showing or something, I don't know, but okay. Wishful thinking, I think, on both of their parts. They're both guilty of wishful thinking, that for her, she's like, well, in Egypt, I'll do the thing, but in the States, I'm not. And he's thinking, well, she's doing it, so she's okay with it. So they both made some massive assumptions without talking directly. And it's just another example of this show of these. I mean, God bless them, but you didn't talk about it. It didn't occur to you that this fundamental aspect, really for both of them, mainly for him, he should have, because they were planning on being in the States, he should have absolutely said, okay, I've got to really make sure that she understands what I'm looking for, and I want to know what her intentions are, because we're not going to be in it. We're going to be in the States. He should have said, I can't assume anything. She should have as well, but yeah, it's mostly on him.
It was very clear.
But that was not real reality. We were on vacation, so I didn't get to see the day in, day out of how person would normally act. I
thought that I don't need to explain anything.
Right. I think that's one, his age, and also the potential monoculture that he comes. I don't know, maybe in his community there are all sorts of ideas of gender, but if he is in a community where there's really no or very little deviation from the norm, it might just feel like, well, this is just how people are, right? And she did it, so she wants to be with me, so yeah. But again, it doesn't take that much brain power to think, well, if we're going to live in the States, what does this mean regarding religion and culture and gender? But there again, you also need to understand the concept of gender, the concept of politics, the concept of freedom and sexism. And if you're not being educated on that, you might not even know that those are questions that you ask.
Because they're very different.
I'm not gonna change who I am. Just because her American friends think that she's gonna be a different person by being with me. I don't know who's Yve gonna listen to, me or her friends.
Ick. She's not saying anything about her friends. She hasn't said anything about her friends. There's been almost no discussion of her friends. And yet he's completely delusionally holding on to this notion that the friends are the evil influence and that the real Yve would never do this. It smells of childishness is the thing. Well, mommy loves me. And so then I think, is there some trauma around that? Was there some model from his past where mom had no power and I don't know. There's just why would he assume that? Because she's not speaking. Well, my friend says she's speaking what she wants. That doesn't sink in at all.
But if Eve not going to accept me for who I am, I'm not gonna be here after the 90 days.
Yeah, honestly, I think that would be wise. He shows no intention or wish or desire to be flexible on this, which is fine. The two of you wasted 2 years assuming very significant things about each other without asking, and c'est la vie.
You went to Egypt and you know my life and who I am, everything, you know? So what's the thing you're talking about? Because you're wasting my time now.
And it's pretty upsetting. I don't know if this is just my Seattleite or Americanism coming through, but it's pretty disappointing to have two people who seem to connect or have the potential to be in a good relationship, and to allow this just ridiculous notion about gender and tradition and marriage to completely just eliminate the possibility of this relationship. It's upsetting for both of them. All right, well, if you didn't know already, we have merch, and we also have Cameo, in which I can give people cameos for birthdays or anniversary, that kind of thing. It's fun to give back in that way. And our merch situation right now might be a little wonky. We are in the process of working with the vendor, and there's some issues, but the link should be below. But when you click on it, it's not really smooth. Like, just wait about a month or 4 weeks or a couple weeks. We should have ironed out. My wife takes care of all that stuff, and it's a huge headache that I won't bore you with. But yeah, we have merch. Also, you can join the conversation below. Be nice to each other. And as if I need to tell you that, I'm sure you know. Discord, we have a Discord link below. Facebook fan page, official Facebook page, Instagram, where you can see pictures of me and my wife and my dog and and everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.